York.
Okay. Hi. Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, good. Here's my book.
I'm here with Marian. How do you pronounce your last name?
Slick. Slick. You don't pronounce the Z.
I'm here with Marian Slick and her new book. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, this book is actually a combination of different books. There's a section on nature, actually more on the environment. There's a section on nature. There's a section that has more persona poems about different people between different worlds, and I also have some personal poems. So it's a little bit of everything. And actually, this is a fairly thick book for a poetry book. So I think I felt like I had to have more than one theme, but I didn't want to just have everything all thrown in. And these poems, I have one poem, Seaweed on the Beach, which is actually one of the first poems I wrote, when I was coming back to poetry. And I have some really new poems. I think probably among the newest poems is Alternative History in Stanton, Virginia, and The Day Before the Bridge Closed. So, and everything in between.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your blog?
Yes, I have a blog, and it's called The Song Is, and mainly it's for poetry and flash fiction that's inspired by music, specifically jazz music. Although I'm happy to take anybody's good poems on anything. Actually, for a while I had some environmental poems. I had poems on not driving. I'd still be happy to get poems on not driving, since neither my husband nor I drive. And actually, right now, since Aretha Franklin died, I'm looking for poems that are memorializing her. So I'd be happy for that, and I think some people are going to be sending me some poems on that topic.
What other kind of projects are you working on?
Well, I'm working on going back to school. Tomorrow is the day of meetings, and then the semester starts next week. My husband and I have a poetry group in Rockville now. It's called It Takes a Community. It meets about once a month. Our next meeting is at Gaithersburg Library in Montgomery Village, and we are going on a field trip there. We are going to an open mic and reading. There are 3 poets reading. Hiram LaRue, Nancy, Naomi Carlson, and Joseph Levia are all reading, and we're going to be there.
Are you reading any good books?
Yeah, I read some interesting books. I read poetry. I read Kazim Ali's memoir. I forget the title. I also read a book of poems by Kashab Akbar, whom my husband and I saw at the beginning of the semester, in the beginning of the summer. For nonfiction, I read some books by Robert McFarlane, who writes about, I guess, the environment. Although he's a kind of a different environmental writer. He's really concerned because a lot of young people don't know nature, and he wants to promote people knowing nature. And I read some books that he suggested in his book, and they were really quite good. And Thelma, like my cat, likes them as well. I thought about taking a picture of Thelma with her paws around this one book, but I didn't do it quickly enough.
I know it would have been cute.
Yeah, well, I bet I'm not moving that book anywhere. I'm probably not going to read it until Christmas. So, the book will probably be there until we move it, and she'll have plenty of chances to put her paws around the book.
So, how much is your new book?
This book is $10. It's available, yes, on Amazon, but if you want to carry some copies, I'd be happy to have it available at Carpe Diem. But it's $10. My other book, I Dream of Empathy, is $8, although I guess if you happen to run into me, I'll sell it for less. I'm more interested in having people read my book. So.
Okay, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Did you want me to read a?
Oh yes, can you read a
Sure.
Richard?
Yeah, I'll read from my book from On the Other Side of the Window first. Maybe I'll read a personal poem and a nature poem, and if we have time, I'll read my cat poem from I Dream of Empathy. Okay. This is the poem that ends the book. It's Lafayette, September 11th, 2001. It's from, actually time, well, we know what September 11th, 2001 was, but it was at a time when my husband and I had just gotten married. We were newlyweds living in downtown Lafayette. And, you know, at that time, the events seemed really peripheral, yet we were thinking of moving probably to Washington, D.C. Okay. Lafayette, September 11th, 2001. Later that morning, after classes were canceled, I crossed the river beneath a perfect sky, going home to you. We didn't think that Al-Qaeda would reach us in this college town, this pin that the angels danced on. We listened to the radio. We thought about stopping by your parents. There, your mother watched the news all day as if it were the rain that would not fall. Instead, I watched the trucks trailing American flags rush up and down Ferry Street, making it a river we could not cross. I wish it had rained that morning while the passengers were lining up at Logan and the workers were streaming from the subway. Standing at the window, looking at the sky, fierce, even in Lafayette, city of wedding cake houses and candy stores, I prayed for rain. And let's see, nature poem. Actually, this is probably one of my environmental poems. I think what I will do is, actually I'm going to do a science fiction poem. It's called Easter 2116. And it's about basic, you know, the next time we're going to have Easter in, you know, very early March, the earliest we can have Easter. And as you'll see from the poem, this area, Maryland, is different. It's not the way it is now. Easter 2116. Among the late walkers in the square, I tighten the hood around my pale face and squint through goggles for any scrap of sun that squeezes through. I could be on Bradbury's Venus on the sweltering day when the sizzling rain pauses, but I am on Earth. In the absence of wind, showers, and past birdsong, I hear my robe swishing. I will myself not to think about music, my own earworms or suggestions sent to me like headaches. I hear only the buzz of mosquitoes balked by the heavy clock. Shuffling weighed down, I watch holograms hover over the stones of the square that resist ceaseless rain and wind. The holograms show skin, unlike the living. Mosquitoes do not bite them. They have no blood to poison. Holograms do not talk to me. I am too poor and homely. They are as silent as the electric cars and aircraft that swarm the city and beyond. I walk to the shore of the acid ocean, the beach lacquered with toxic jellyfish and seaweed. I smell nothing. I have been walking here forever in search of something. A hologram in cargo shorts floats above like a New Age Jesus going out to Peter's boat. I look out to the horizon. The waters cover the cities. Where as children, the holograms wore Easter outfits and couples sauntered out in the sweetly scented sun. So many years ago, as music played from transistor radios, the rain will resume. The music will as well. For now, I enjoy their absence. Great, thanks. And I do want to do my cat poem. But any questions about?
No.
Okay, so let's go to Crepuscule with Callie. And this is from my first book, I Dream of Empathy. And this is a poem that I really like to read at the DC Poetry Project, which had an open mic. And I want to explain it a little bit because I guess some of it isn't obvious unless you're into jazz. There's a song by Thelonious Monk, the great pianist. It's called Crepuscule with Nellie. And instead, this is Crepuscule with Callie. And my husband commissioned me to write a poem about our cat Callie's worst nightmare. And our cat Callie's worst nightmare would be to live in the house of Thelonious Monk's patron, the Jazz Baroness, who had many cats, supposedly 200 cats, although that might be one of these exaggeration words. But I know Callie would absolutely hate it because she had trouble enough when one Thelma came. Okay. Crepuscule with Callie. Waves of scent wash over her. Urine, human and animal, sweat, damp wool, bad coffee, no cream, worse cigarettes, a perfume called joy. A landscape quakes, calico, tuxedo, gray, orange, white, black, tabby, Manx. The notes on the record skip as the landscape shimmers and shifts. Chase or be chased, nip or be nipped, lick or be licked. The other cats multiply. They leap onto counters and crowd around windows. Lights twinkle with kindness out there. Inside, the cats multiply, sniffing at cold coffee cups and ashtrays, chasing, nipping, licking. Behind the last door, the man in the suit and hat will not stir. He barely breathes. They say that one night he played the piano with his elbows while the sax wailed like a car alarm from the future. Another night he did not play at all. If she were herself, she'd rattle the blinds until he awoke and let her out of this nightmare. He doesn't have to play the piano for her, just get her out. Again the landscape shifts, the record skips. Beyond the last door, Callie still seeks the threads of her waking life. No coffee, no cigarettes, no chasing, nipping, licking, the presence of real joy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.